Well, so with that, it was more so she wanted to see if I'm gonna do it.
Mhm.
And I've commented on one of her posts like back like in 2022 that I said because of her, I wouldn't have started ring announcing because you gave me this push that I needed.
Mhm.
Um, so it was more so like when you do it, let me know. But I've been kind of like I don't want to bother her more so.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the number one women's wrestling network on the planet.
Bonjour, you're watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the number one women's wrestling show on the planet. My name is TK Trinidad, and today we have an amazing show and nothing but amazing guests. You have heard or you will hear her melodic voice from Mission Pro Wrestling, RCW, and Hybrid. Please welcome Elianna.
Hi.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
Thanks for coming on. So for people who don't know, I mean, we Women's Wrestling Talk, we kind of are in the know of a lot of different women doing amazing things in the wrestling industry. And I happened to pound your social media, I think a couple months back, doing amazing things. And it also helps that, you're a melanated face in the space as well. And we got to work together at All Caribbean Wrestling. So we got a lot of stuff going on. So you're telling me a little bit about your story. So kind of because a lot of people see ring announcing and a lot of it's kind of like I associate to like being a podcast host or being a comedian, or everybody thinks they can do it. And there's a lot more work to it than there really is. So tell me about your journey of how you became a ring announcer.
So when I had decided to move out of my mother's home, I really didn't know like what I wanted to do. So I was thinking to myself, like, I've always liked wrestling. I grew up with wrestling like 1998 all the way up until now. And I'm like, man, I really want to be a wrestler, but I was in the military, hurt myself, and long story short, I'm afraid to break anything. So my friend, he was like, well, why don't you do what Lillian Garcia does? Kind of chunked it off because I was like, no, because it looks easy. I have social anxiety. Like, I'm not going to get into that. So,
Mm-hmm.
fast forward to WrestleCon Dallas in 2022. They never announced her as being one of the guests, and I had bumped into her in the hallway. And I felt like that was a sign from God. So I decided to talk to her a little bit about like how she got into it and what she did and how to overcome certain fears. And she
Mm-hmm.
kind of just gave me the rundown, and I told her that I was scared, and she was like, "You never know how great you will be if you don't try." So she was like, "I
Mm-hmm.
want you to try." So I went back, told my friend like, "Hey, I'm gonna do this ring announcing thing. I'm gonna try it." And I little did I know that that was gonna become such a huge passion for me, and it broke a lot of barriers regarding me having social anxiety and being insecure, and it built confidence, and I was able to talk to more people and network, and it just became my life, and I love it. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, being you just flew to Jamaica. There's being able to travel and get into so many different promotions. I guess for people who are wanting to break into that aspect of it, because I equate it to like entertainment, right? It's like, or
Mm.
even sports. It's like not everybody can be the player on the court, but there's so many jobs behind the scenes. Same thing with entertainment. Same thing with wrestling. So kind of how did you met with Lillian, you started, but now you're kind of, to me, one of the faces when you think of ring announcers, up and coming. Like,
Yeah.
how did you kind of get into that position?
So my friend, he suggested that I go to Dog Pound with Ronnie
Mm-hmm.
Mack and Jazz. Um, and I was like, okay. When they were having a show that weekend, so he brought me over, he invited me over, and we met him. And it was funny too. He introduced me to Ronnie Mack, and Ronnie Mack was like, "You must have been a blessing from God because we just let go of our ring announcer
Mm.
because he went to NWA." And I was like, "Well, yeah, I'm here." I was like, "I'm new." I was like, I was just telling him I'm new. I don't really know what I'm doing. I said, "I just know based off of what I've seen in WWE and what Lillian Garcia did." He was like, "Don't worry, we'll teach you."
Mm-hmm.
So I was with them for a year. And at that time, I felt like I outgrown what they taught me.
Mhm.
So I ended up moving to hybrid, and from there, I was kind of struggling getting promotions because, of course, I have no experience, and a lot of people are like, "Well, you don't have any content for us to go off of, so we don't want
Mhm.
you." Brandon was the one that brought me in RCW, and he watched me grow.
Mhm.
And for the ones that are trying to get into the business, it's a risk. You have to take the risk. You have to push aside your fears and actually just do it. Like, don't
Mhm.
think about, man, what if I do this? What if I do that? Because that was me. Just do it. Just start. And I have a couple of people in my DMs right now asking questions on what to do and how to say certain things, and I help them and I give them tips.
Mhm.
Um, I'm open to helping anybody out. I was also thinking about making little videos on how to get people started because it's really hard to just, get out there and just be like, "Hey guys, my name is Elianna, and I'm going to be your ringing announcer for today's show." And like it, you have to find who you are. Like
Mhm.
you got to find yourself within that business because at first, ring announcing, I was just like, I don't know who I am. And I was studying, like, I was watching Lillian Garcia. I was watching, like, just, you know, everything. I was watching everybody and what they did and how they said and how they presented themselves, how they dressed, how they walked, how they talked. And I ended up just molding myself into it's my personality,
Right.
just just more of in a professional manner,
Mhm.
because my personality can be a little I can be a little funny and weird sometimes, but it's my personality, but it's more out there. It's me, it's who I am, and my voice developed over time. It did not sound like how it sounded today.
Mhm.
It sounded more like a high-pitched, insecure, don't know what's going on, to this confident, strong, I know exactly what I got going on. So,
Yeah. It's crazy. You could it's very the path, I wouldn't say it's transferable, meaning that when I was like sitting beside you in Jamaica, I totally forgot that I had a whole life doing CrossFit announcing. And I had done that for so long, but then I had gotten into this wrestling space and all the other things. And it's just kind of it's the same thing. It's the same journey because you develop your voice, but then there's so many opportunities because the end all be all is of course AEW, WWE, etc. But there's so many more. There's so many promotions out there, and it's just a matter of putting yourself out there. And then everybody has a phone now, and so it's just kind of like how bad do you want it?
ex
Because I've seen you recording yourself. I've seen it's just it's very much you kind of have to put those X's and O's together to get those opportunities.
yeah, and also it's timing as well.
Hmm.
I cannot stress that enough. Most of the promotions that I have, it's because either a ring announcer they couldn't make it that day, and they like, "Hey, I've been watching you for a couple months, and
Hmm.
I would like to bring you in." And it just set a solid foundation once I go there, and they're like, "Man, you sound amazing." And every promotion that I worked for, I've always been the head ring announcer,
Hmm.
and I'm grateful that they put so much faith in me, but, like, in the beginning, I was like, "Guys, I don't know what I'm doing." Like like, you're gonna you're gonna see me change, you're gonna see me, switch up my style, you're gonna see me, my voice is gonna get, deeper, stronger, like, I tell them that, and they're like, "But, like, you sound amazing, we wanna keep you." Um, but it's timing, and it's just how you present yourself as well.
Hmm.
Um, I can't stress that enough.
And then let's go. I mean, you said a couple of things, and also another thing. So let's go back to the military. I
Yes.
mean, what was because when you meet people, you meet them at certain places, right? So it's like, okay, you're ring announcing here. We're here in Jamaica. We're doing the thing, but you've had a whole nother life, right? So what? Tell me about the military and what that experience was like.
Oh my goodness. So I went into the military in 2017.
Hmm.
Um, that was kind of like a life-changing thing for me. I didn't plan on going. I just kind of was like, you know what, I want to go, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm kind of scared.
Uh-huh.
It again, it's taking a risk, right? Um, so I signed up. My mom was like, "What are you doing? No, don't. What are you doing? Are you crazy?" I'm like, "No," but I was like, when you think about, I was in the army, so when I thought about like their values and how they're gonna structure you,
Hmm.
and to me, I was like, "Man, I feel soft, I feel weak, like I want to have that toughness to me." So I
Right.
went, And let me tell you, I was crying like the first 2 weeks. Um, it was really rough. It was something very different. It changed my dynamic on the outside life and meeting different people from different states and having to adjust and work together.
Mhm.
And that's something that I carried over when I became a ring announcer because you're meeting different walks of life
Mhm.
and you have to find ways to like cope
Connect.
with, yeah, connect, make sure, set boundaries and everything. It's just, it helped me. So, military wise, I was there, I was doing my thing. At first, I wanted to give up because it was
Mhm.
hard. Constantly walking. I twisted my ankle multiple times. I tore two
Mm.
ligaments in my ankle. It was, yeah, and I still had to do the 17-mile ruck march, but it was supposed to be 14, but we got in trouble, so they made it 17.
Dang.
Um, yeah. So it's just it built me, and I was still able to do a lot of things with those torn ligaments. So in my head, I'm like, if I can still pass and still graduate from from the army, basic military training, and AIT
Mhm.
with this ankle, I know that I can do so much more with myself.
Mhm.
And I I wish I could still see my drill sergeants. I still have a picture of them and like people are like, "Are you crazy? They were rude, they were mean." I said, "But these are the people that broke me down and built me up and gave me
Mhm.
this toughness that I needed because it's not easy out here." So I miss them.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. It's very it's interesting. I think sometimes in society we want to be treated a certain way, but sometimes those hard times and dealing with hard people or those lessons build us up to who we are, and that we can do different things and surpass certain things, and people just don't realize that it's not always going to be easy.
It's not. It won't ever be.
And so something else you mentioned in an interview, a previous interview that I saw, that once you decide that you were ring announcing, you were going to drop some weight, and you managed to do that in like 8 months. So what was that? What was that kind of aha moment? And then how did you break it down to be the weight that you are now?
Oh man. So with that, it came with a lot of trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
um, so when I first started, I was over 198 pounds to 205 pounds. I was a heavy girl.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they were telling me, they're like, we're not trying to be rude or mean, but a lot of people would like to look at a ring announcer that's beautiful, that's slim and
Mm-hmm.
fit. And so I didn't at first I took it to heart because I'm like, well, dang, you call me fat, but I understood.
Right.
So I started off just trying to figure out like what works for my body. So I try to do like walking and that didn't really work for me. And eventually I found a solution that worked for my body, which is a calorie deficit. Um, I eat a certain amount of calories a day
Mm-hmm.
and then I work out, but I stop at a certain time when it comes to eating. So at 6 o'clock, I stop eating
Mm-hmm.
and I drink water. I go work out. And then the next day, I drink water before I have a meal because if you eat on an empty stomach, you tend to eat more because
Mm-hmm.
you're hungry from last night.
Right.
So I drink a bottle of water before I eat, and then I ate, and I started to drop a little bit of weight, but I realized that I was stagnant at 150. Um, so I try to figure out, okay, so what am I doing wrong? What do I need to switch up? So what I end up doing is I skipped breakfast,
Mm-hmm.
skipped, and I wouldn't necessarily say skip dinner, but I had a light lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And then at 6 o'clock, I would have a small dinner and then drink water. I had nothing but water the whole time. And then my weight started to drop. Now I'm at 135 and I kind of just stayed in the 30s
Mm-hmm.
since then.
Okay. So you came up with that on your own, or did somebody help you with that?
I came up with it on my own because I try to get help, but what they were telling me to do was not helping me lose weight. It was actually building muscle. They're like, you need to eat more. And I'm like, but I'm not trying to gain muscle. I'm trying to, lose weight. They're like, yeah, but you got to eat more and then your body burns it and then it's going to make you lose weight. I'm like, okay, I tried it and didn't work. I was gaining like weight faster than I thought. So I was like, I'm gonna try a calorie deficit. And I did my studies on it and what to do. There was certain type of calorie deficits that I tried, like the keto diet, that did not work. I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
do it. That was rough. Um, there was another diet that I did. it was kind of more like what Muslims do on Ramadan. Go all
Hmm.
day and then eat at night. That didn't work for me because my body, my metabolism is really slow. So I eat at night, and then when I go to sleep, the weight doesn't go off because, you
Right.
know.
It's not bringing it
So
off.
no. So I ate throughout the day, and then at 6 o'clock I cut it off, drank water, and that worked for me, and that's what I still do.
Yeah, the water is a kind of the magic trick for a lot of things that people. It's sometimes it's so simple, but it's so hard, and it's just kind of like,
I know.
man, like
I'll be wanting
I
a
give up. I
soda.
Oh yes, I'm on. I think I'm on 2 months now without soda, so I'm good with that. Like I'm trying the little things. Like now, I'm trying not to do the candy when I'm stressed. It's so much easier. Like when I was an athlete, it was so much easier because like you're burning more calories and it's easier to say no because you're on a schedule. But this life thing, when you stress, it's like I just want a candy. Can I just have a candy bar?
That's me.
So yeah,
That's
it's
me.
just kind of like balancing it.
Yeah, it's hard because when I do get stressed, I overeat. I overeat a lot. That's why I was over 205 pounds. Because when I get stressed, I don't care. Like I'll just grab anything, and they're like, Eliana, you just ate like an hour ago. You're gonna eat again." I'm like, "I'm stressing." So I
Hmm.
understand where you're coming from.
So how did the military background kind of play in, or has it played into, you know, ring announcing and your kind of determination with that?
Um, it In a way it does. I would say the tough skin that they gave me. Trust me, it helped me out a lot because I mean, I'm still sensitive, but
Hmm.
I was very soft, and like I used to let little opinions of other people get to me really bad. And I'm like, I can't do that. So when I hit the military and they were like talking to me like that, but at the same time they were like, I know you can do it, but we're gonna talk smack to you because that's our job. So
Hmm.
it built this thick skin that I have. So when I went into ring announcing and wrestling, and people have their opinions, oh, like you're just a copycat, or they saying negative things about me. I sit back and I'm like, okay, so since you think I'm doing all this negative stuff, can you get in the ring and do what I do? And it shuts them up, right?
Right.
But of course you cannot feed into the negativity. Sometimes you just gotta ignore it. And I feel like if I didn't go into the military, I think that would probably got to me to the point where I would have just stopped in my first year. So
Mm.
yeah, it's
And
bad.
so how many years are you into it now? When was your debut as a ring announcer?
It'll be the 30th of this month. That'll be 2 years.
Okay. Damn, it's only been 2 years?
I'm a baby.
Okay, all right. So you did mention a little bit, people have been comparing you to Samantha Irvine, and I know it hasn't been um like intentional, but it's also, I kind of feel like it's a compliment to some sort.
Yes. Well, most people that I hear it from is coming from a negative aspect.
Mm,
They'll be like, "Huh, what were you doing? Were you just sitting there watching her for hours just to try to get it down?" I'm like, "Whoa." I'm like, "Honestly, no." I was like, "I actually sat in front of my TV and my laptop and watched nothing but Lillian Garcia."
mhm,
So, I was like, she's not the only one that has a very powerful voice. I said,
mhm,
my voice just developed over time. And I still need I have it in my drafts, but I have a video of when I first started, like my very, very first show. This was not with Dog Pound. It was actually for Pride Month, and they
mhm,
invited me over, and I did a match. And my voice was just so high pitched. You could tell I was insecure. You could tell like the way that my body was moving. Like I didn't really know what I was doing. Um, but when my voice, it changes over time. It changed over time, and I'm just like, they're like, your voice is powerful. I'm like, is it? I'm like, I don't.
mhm,
So there's some people that actually say they're like, man, you sound so amazing. Like you remind me of Samantha Irving. I get it from kids all the time. You remind me of that WWE ring announcer on Raw. And I'm like, oh, I get that a lot. Thank you. But um, when they do tell me, I do take it as a compliment, but it just depends
mhm.
on how they deliver it. Because
Right,
they're like, "Huh, what did you do? Sit in front of the TV? Oh man, like, are you really trying that hard to copy her?" And I'm like, no, that's just my voice. Like I can't
right.
control it.
Some
So
people I feel like some people just they don't filter what they say sometimes. I'm like, are you serious? This what we're doing? Okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna ignore you. But what's the game plan? So it's been 2 years, baby in the industry, but you kind of worked with a lot of great people,
Mhm.
and great great promotions. So what is the goal? Because I know some people they would say, they have a whole nother life, meaning like they have a shoot job that they love, and they referee or do this kind of part-time, and that's kind of, it's almost like a weekend warrior type thing. But what's your ultimate goal?
I would like to make it. I'm not saying that it's gonna happen. Um, my first initial goal when I started was AEW. I was
Hmm.
like, I want to go here. But the way that my life has been, the road that's been paved for me, it's
Hmm.
leading more towards like NXT or TNA,
Hmm.
WWE, and I'm just allowing it to happen. Um, I put a lot of risks into my ring announcing because this is something that I would love to do all the time.
Hmm.
Like it's a passion. I would wanna do it, and there's times where I went to multiple promotions and I did it for free just
Hmm.
because I love what I do.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it's just if even if I don't make it, this right here, I just I love what I do. I don't care if I make it or not, but the way things are going, I guess maybe, I don't know.
But with that being said, has there been? Well, actually, there was this story that you did tell me when we were in Jamaica that you met Lillian at the event, and then she said to hit her up once you actually started ring announcing. So, kind of
Yes.
tell me about that story.
Well, so with that, it was more so she wanted to see if I'm gonna do it, you know?
Hmm.
And I've commented on one of her posts like back like in 2022 that I said because of her I wouldn't have started ring announcing because you gave me this push that I needed.
Hmm.
Um so it was more so like when you do it, let me know, but I've been kind of like I don't want to bother her more so because you couple years had like a couple years past probably don't remember, but um I feel like I wanted to hit a certain status before I said, "Hey, Lillian, do you remember me?" And I was gonna show her the picture that she posted of us together in the picture,
Hmm.
that she has on her Instagram. Um, and I was just gonna, just give her a reminder, like, "Hey, you're the one that helped me out, and I just want to let you know, like, this is where I'm at right now in my ring announcing career, and if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here."
Hmm.
Like, but I'm just waiting, like, for the right moment to just send that to her.
You don't think that's the right moment now?
I feel like okay, so I I
I'm
feel
just,
like
don't let me bully you, but I'm just
no, I guess more so yeah, you're right, maybe, but I feel like I guess in my head, I feel like I'm not, like, where I wanna be yet. I feel like I wanna be, like, a little bit more than where I'm at now. Like, if I was at, like, NXT,
Mhm.
definitely, I would've been like, "Hey, like, you helped me get here, and if it wasn't for you," like, I already have, like, a little, um in my notebook, I had already wrote down, like, a paragraph, and I was gonna tag her in it and just, like,
Okay.
appreciate her and stuff, but I'm not gonna do that yet.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
if I make it, definitely will do it. If I don't, and I'm just still doing indie shows,
It's
which I
not
don't
if,
mind.
it's when.
Ok when when, um, but even if I don't make it, I say if because, life is weird. Even if I don't make it and I do indie shows,
Mhm.
I would just be happy just doing what I love to do without, you know, having the stressor of like, "You really need to do this, you really need to do that." But how things are going, you never know. So
Okay. So has there been any advice from somebody in the industry that has kind of been like another aha moment, or something that you kind of keep with you?
um, what I've learned and what other people tell me is they just be yourself, you know?
Mhm.
And at first I didn't understand what they meant by that because you're like, how they separate wrestlers, their gimmick and then their actual personality of how they are.
Mhm.
So they were like, "Well, yeah, you can have two personalities," and then one person I'm really close to, he's like, "No, stay yourself. Just be yourself. They're like, "You have your personality, you light up the room when you walk in here, like, don't change that because you're in the wrestling business. Keep
Right.
it to yourself." And that's all I've kind of been doing, and everything that I've learned the hard way. So, I don't mind giving people advice when it comes to ring announcing or a little bit of interviewing, but mostly ring announcing because
Okay.
I've learned everything the hard way.
And sometimes it's actually good to learn that way because then you pick up certain tips that the average person wouldn't have picked up. And then when you get into another situation, you've already learned that lesson. Now you're kind of ahead of the game. So that's also a good thing too. So can you like talk about like the first experience? It's because I equate it to, for instance, a wrestler when they take their first bump. So when you had your first experience as a ring announcer, and now you're here, you're holding on to the mic, you about to either walk in the ring or you have your notes. What was that? What was that moment in your like mind? What transpired?
Oh my gosh. when when I mean, I wouldn't count the pride because it was just one match. But my first hosted show was Dog Pound. And they were like, "Elianna, you got 3 minutes before you go into that ring." And in my head, I wanted to run away. I wanted to just like not do it. I wanted to be like, "No, man, there's so many people out there." And honestly, it was like it was only like 100 people, but in my head, it felt like I was standing in the arena of WWE, like all those, like a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people, just a sea of people. But that's how I saw it. And I remember I turned to one of the wrestlers, like, "I want to run away. Like, I can't do this." And they're like, "No, Eliana, you can do this." I'm like, "I can't." Like, I just, in my head, like, I wanted to cry. Like, I just wanted to
Mm-hmm.
break down and just say no. But I pushed through that and went out there. And it was very awkward because I was just like, "Hi, Castroville, Texas. How you guys doing?" And they were just like, there was like no cheers. There was just like, "Woo!" I'm like, so I was just like, um, so today we got some match. Like I was just so insecure. Like
Mm-hmm.
I just couldn't. But after the first 3 matches, I kind of got the hang of it and
Mm-hmm.
was kind of putting my foot out there. And I was like, yeah, sweet caramel lightning and Nate. What? No, his name was Nate Nasty Nate at the time, and just kinda just getting my foot in, but it was just but after that first show, I had so many corrections, and I was, like, getting coached, and "You did this wrong," and I messed up a lot, and I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh my gosh," and they were like, "You weren't looking at the hard cam is this way, you were looking, like, at the entrance," like, cut like, yeah, it was I completely butchered my first show, and then after that first show, I remember just getting in my car, and I just busted out crying. And I'm like, "God, what am I doing? I'm so stupid. Like, what like, what why am I doing this?" And in my head, I was just like, "I'm gonna give up." Like, that was horrible. I was like, "I would never wanna experience that again." And in my spirit, in my heart, I just felt like I wanted to keep going. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
"You gotta learn." But, at the time, a lot of people are like, "Eliana, you suck." Like, these are people that are coming up to me
But
telling
it's
me
your
that.
first time. Like, I mean, what do you?
It's they were like, "Yeah, you sucked." Like, I'm like they were like, I thought you were studying how Lillian Garcia was announcing." And I'm like, "I was, but it's a different experience when you're doing it."
Right.
So, it's I messed up that show really bad. Like, I wanted to give up. I was crying, and I was just like, yeah, but after my second show, I was still messing up,
Mm-hmm.
but I did a little better. Each time it was like it was like one step at a time. And
Right.
people were telling me, Eliana, at this rate, you probably are not gonna make it. Like you are overweight, you don't remember people's names, like you have a card in the ring, like how hard is it to read something off a card? Like they're like, you no, like just hang it up. And I'm like,
Damn.
and I wanted to. I really wanted
Mm-hmm.
to. Um, but something in my spirit told me to keep going, don't stop. And now I'm here. And actually, this past RCW show, I did not have the need to have a card in my hand. I was able to
Mm.
go in the ring and actually announce every single body without a card. Even even when there were new people and I have never met them a day in my life, it's like my brain took a screenshot of the card, and I was
Nice.
able to put the card down and go in there and just perform my best and confidently without having the card like this in my face or having to look
Right.
down at it or um it it was this was a tough road. I wanted to give up several times. It was not easy.
I mean, and 2 years in, I mean, it's 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 a muscle. And for all the people who complain, like you were saying, them to get into the ring and do it, it's a whole nother beast. But with that being said, I mean, has re-announcing made you an even bigger wrestling fan, or what is the like? Do you When I started in the sphere of doing what I'm doing in wrestling, I became more of a student. I was doing shows with X-Pac, and I was like, oh, this is the legend in the game. I need to learn all these things. I became very much a student of the business of wrestling. Some people, it's just like they become more of a fan. Like they want to know everything that's, as far as storylines and this and that. So what was, when you now in the business yourself, like, are you a fan of it? Are there certain people that stick out to you now? Like what's your relationship with wrestling now?
One thing I'm gonna say for sure, I have a whole lot of respect for the wrestlers. Um,
Mm-hmm.
when you see it on TV, you don't see the behind the scenes. You don't see how much work they're putting into this. You don't see
Mm-hmm.
like all this like it is so much work being put into just doing a show. And I didn't
Mm-hmm.
realize that. I thought they were just going out there and just, they choose the winner or if somebody got tired, they won. Like I didn't see yeah, like I didn't see like the aspect and how much work was put behind a show. So
Mm-hmm.
when I started and they were like, "Yeah, so this is how we're going to do it." I was like, "Wait, y'all choose a winner? Like what? Y'all choose somebody to win? Like what the heck?" Like it was a real eye opener for me.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, from wrestlers all the way to production, commentary, people that even set up the ring, I have so much respect for every single body in the business because nobody understands how much work is being put behind the scenes to put
Mm-hmm.
on a great show for the fans. And when I hear people being negative, like, "Oh man, that sucked," or "This show sucked," I'm like, y'all know I'm not in the background,
Mm-hmm.
of what's going on. And me, now that I've been in it, I've became somebody that just takes in a lot of information, whether it had to do with wrestling, commentary, interviewing. I just like to learn like more about what's going on behind the scenes
Mm-hmm.
because it's so interesting to know what they do now. And I respect everybody in the back. Like it's man, like I never knew how much work was put into that stuff. And I was just like, I usually be like, "Man, good job, guys." Like, even if they did mess up or,
Mm-hmm.
I say, "No, good job," because there's so many people that would not be in that position and did what you did.
Yeah.
So, it was an eye opener for sure.
Yeah, I know. I look at it like, when you look at, like, for instance, WWE, and people complain about WWE, I'm like, they put on a show multiple times a week all year round. Like and a lot of the times it's done well, and there's sometimes where it's not, but it's like you every week. That's crazy. So yeah, it's and then even and actually, like, talk about your experience with ACW, so All Caribbean Wrestling. So for you guys who don't know, Women's Wrestling Talk has partnered with All Caribbean Wrestling. So I was out there with Gerard, aka Professor, on commentary, and you were there as a ring announcer. We got to go to Jamaica. So how did that all come about?
Ooh, so, um, I had well, she's a good friend. Maya, she had shared one of the flyers, for All Caribbean Wrestling. So I was kinda interested. I was like, "Oh, man, like, this is cool." So I messaged the actual account, and we were talking, and I talked to JB Cool. We talked on the phone, like, 3 hours, almost 4 hours about, like,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much everything, the rundown, and as I mentioned earlier about timing, he said he just recently let go of the ring announcer that was for their show, and he
Mm-hmm.
was looking at me for the past couple of months, so he was already going to message me, but I did it first, and that was my first time ever being out of state, out of anything. That was my first time doing everything. So he was just like, "Yeah." He's like, "Come on down." He's like, "If you can find your way to Florida," he's like, "come on down." Oh, a lot of hassle with the plane tickets and stuff. So long story short, I ended up driving there to Florida. 19-hour drive. It was stressful, but I got there. Um, but when we hit Jamaica, it was like a real eye opener. Like I'm actually, making improvement
Mhm.
because in my head, a lot of people don't know, but in my head, I still think of the Eliana that was first starting out. I think of this
Mm.
insecure Eliana, this girl that doesn't know what she's doing and trying to, find her way. And it's just that moment where we landed in Jamaica and I was doing a show for JB for All Caribbean Wrestling. I'm just like in my head, I'm like, man, I'm actually making some type of progress because I never thought I'd be here. I never thought I'd be traveling to Jamaica of all things.
Mhm.
And just to see again, just to see how everything was set up in the background and how everything goes and with production and how to, social media and everything is just again a lot of respect for everybody. Like I just a whole lot of respect. And just doing that show, it just made me feel alive. It made me feel like the passion that I had before. I had a lot of passion, but just after that show, I had so much more. And
Mhm.
I was just grateful. And when he told me that he wanted me to be the main ring announcer, I remember just going into the hotel room and I just broke down crying for like a good 10 minutes because, like, every opportunity I get, I am so grateful for. Like,
Mhm.
I cry a lot, by the way. I'm a crybaby. So, um, I cry a lot because I'm grateful that people see so much value in me when sometimes I don't see the value in myself, and
Right.
they bring that out of me, and it just but Jamaica wasn't a great experience for me, and a lot of people are like, "Hey, how can I get on that show? Like, you're doing great things. Like, I wanna be there too. Like, what's going on?" I'm like, "You gotta message JB. He's the one that is the yes or no in this." So
Mhm.
Jamaica was a great experience. It was an eye opener for me, and it actually built a lot of confidence, especially the structure that they have there as well. It helps me keep on my P's and Q's about what I
Mhm.
should be doing, just to keep everything, you know, good. So it was great.
And then I guess, including the show in ACW and just in general, how do you prep for ring announcing? Is there like a certain kind of process?
hmm I the first thing it depends on first it depends on how many matches I'm doing.
Hmm.
Because at Reality of Wrestling, I do 10 to 15 matches,
Mm.
not yeah, not including introducing any special guests or anything like that. So I do some vocal lessons, like just um, the basic, just to keep my throat open. So
Hmm.
do that for about good 10 minutes. I do drink some teas. Um, they're all organic. I don't use any teas that have, like, any weird other ingredients in it. It's
Hmm.
just organic throat coat teas. And recently I tried Starbucks green tea, sweet green tea. I don't know what they put in that stuff, but oh my gosh, that helped my throat so much. I don't know what they put in that, but I'm about to find out.
Shout to Starbucks.
But yeah, so I do that, and then depending on when I get the match card, either it's the day before or the day of the show, I
Hmm.
usually go off to the side, and when I'm writing down my cards, I announce as I go. So, the following contest is a tag team match scheduled for one fall, introducing first from Orlando, Florida, at a combined weight of 425 pounds, the team up as I'm writing.
Hmm.
And I write their opponent, and then I look at it, say it one more time, put it down, write the next match. And so when it comes to me announcing, I could just look at the card for like a minute. My memory takes a screenshot of it and I don't need the card anymore. And sometimes I still bring the card just in case if I mess up or I forget something, I have it. But
Right.
now my brain is getting to the point where I can look at the card and just be like, I got it and go in the ring.
Right.
Um, but usually, also what I do as I am waiting for like if a match is going on, I'm already looking at the second match
Hmm.
and I'm sitting in the chair The following contest is scheduled for one fall, introducing first, just going over the whole
Mm-hmm.
spiel and do the whole match. Um, and then after that, if it's boxing style, I'm in the ring, and as the wrestlers are coming out, I'm mouthing them as they're coming out as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
boom, as soon as they come out, following contest is a tag team match scheduled for one fall, introducing first from so and so, weighing at a combined weight is this. The team of so and so, and they are. And if I get it right the first time, I know I don't need the card. Now,
Right.
if they're coming in, I may make a little mistake. I'm like, wait, no, his weight was 260, not 205.
Right.
Just like mouthing as they're coming down to the ring. So by the time they're in the ring and it's boxing style, I already said everything for like the 20th time, and I
Gotcha.
in that meeting, and I'm just like, following contest is scheduled for one fall, and go from
You
there.
have it. Oh, girl, better use me. I'll stick behind that desk. Thank you very much. This is an interesting thing, and when I heard this story, when you were talking about it, I have a feeling that there's going to be a very surreal moment. So I want to capture this so that when it is played, um, we're able to do a side by side. So you went to church
Yes.
and you saw Shawn Michaels.
Oh.
So let's just, I'm the type of person who, just puts stuff out in the universe. So let's just say one of the opportunities or the pathways lead you to NXT, and now you're standing in front of Mr. Hicklebottom, as one of our hosts like to call him. What would you say? What would you remind him? Like, hey, we was
No,
look at this.
I honestly, because when I met Shawn Michaels at church, it was so embarrassing. Um, I was still a child, so he would definitely not remember me. Um, I don't know if he still goes to Cornerstone. I don't go to that church no more, but I go to a
Mhm.
different church. When me and my brother met him when we were younger, the first time my brother met him, my older brother met him, he gave him an autograph. He was super nice, super sweet, and he was like, "Man, Shawn Michaels is awesome, cool." So when we went to church again after a couple months and we saw him, I was there with my brother, and I was like, "Bro, I see there's Shawn. Oh my god!" Right? Um, oh my gosh. So my brother, I was like, I want his autograph. I had a paper and pen and everything, and my brother was like, "Hey, Shawn," and he turned around and he was like, my brother was like, "Can we have your autograph?" And he was like, "I don't think church is the appropriate time for me to give you an autograph." When I tell you my heart broke, oh,
It's such a hit or miss. It's kind of, I get it.
it was so embarrassing. I was just like, oh, me and my brother was like, so we're just like, "Sorry, sir. We're so sorry, sir." Like, you know, um, but if God does leave that path to me and I go to NXT, honestly, I think I would be so much in shock that I probably wouldn't even mention anything. I would just probably have my head down the whole time. Not because like, it's weird, but it's just my social anxiety because I don't know him,
Mhm.
and um I don't want to like be like, "Oh my god, I grew up with you, bro." Yeah, like totally. Like, like I like it's so awkward to like to talk about things like that. So,
Right.
I would just probably say my hello and thank you for having me after I cried. And just kind of see if he can just give me any type of
Tips or
corrections
anything.
or yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, that's where
Well,
that's oh, go
it's
ahead.
fun. It's funny you say that, because sometimes you just never know. It's the opportunity, right? There was, I'm not going to say their name, but there was somebody that I walked into an interview with,
Mhm.
and their their acting in this particular show was what got me through like my track season.
Hmm.
And it was one of those things where they give you a certain amount of time before they hit the cameras. And so I just quickly like told the story, like, hey, this was because of this film, it really helped me with this and this and that. And it really kind of broke the ice, but it was just that window of opportunity. I literally had 30 seconds to like say this. So you just never know, because obviously church, or sometimes I'm out here in LA, sometimes you see people at dinner, so you kind of like, you might have missed the opportunity. There have been times where I wanted to talk to somebody and I wish I did, because they actually ended up passing away. it's kind of one of those things where it's just kind of like you just never, it's like double dutch. No matter, it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, I want your autograph, but it's just kind of like in being on television or in being in the radio or being somewhere, the person might not know it, but they've become part of your life. So it's just, you just never know. I just want to document this for you so that when it does happen, we can just clip it out, tag him, tag you. So if you don't decide to jar his memory, then we will do it for you as a
Oh
as a
no.
as a just see them here and now type thing. But you just never know. And like again, with doing so much in 2 years, it's definitely, there's no original blueprint, but I think one of the things, the takeaways is just follow your dream. And
Right.
where we are in social media, and the fact that we have access to so many, like the fact that you literally just sent a DM to the ACW account, right? But also because you've been posting,
Mhm.
it's how it all kind of tied together. You know what I'm saying? Because guaranteed, if there's nothing posting of you, or there's no video, or you weren't posting on social media, the opportunity probably might not have happened.
No, I
So,
I agree. I agree. I think I mean, I've taken a lot of risks for this
mm-hmm,
business. I mean, risk as in, you know, losing, jobs and well, not like crazy, like
mm-hmm,
it's more so they're like, "Hey, you can't keep missing Fridays, once or twice a month. Like it's not going to work
mm-hmm,
for us." But a lot of people, they're like, if you're willing to take the risk on what you really want in your dream sense and the dream wise,
mm-hmm,
you're gonna have to take risks. And I didn't understand what they meant by that until I actually got into the business and put certain things as a priority. And um I know there was we don't talk anymore, but there was a good friend that had asked me. She was like, if a situation were to come and in order for you to get an opportunity, you would have to be homeless. Would you take it? Like,
mm,
as in, like, are you willing to put in that much work to the point where you're homeless in order for
mm-hmm,
you to be where you want to be?
mm-hmm.
And I kind of sat back and I thought about it. I was like, homeless? Like in my car type of homeless? She was like, yeah.
That's
Like,
LA.
yeah.
Everybody knows, done at least once or twice if you live in LA.
Yeah. So, and I was just like, and now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I probably should have said and shouldn't have said that. But I was like, yeah. I was like, I would do it. I said, if me having to sacrifice, you know, certain things in order for me to get to where I need to be, I do it.
Mm-hmm,
But now there was times where I was like getting close to that and I was like, "Whoo, wait, hold on a second. Oh, wait." you know,
mm-hmm,
um and that's really humbling. I've been humbled a lot in this business because there's a lot of things that I just didn't understand, and then when you get into it, you're like, "Oh wow, now I understand." Very
mm-hmm,
humbling. But if you take the risk and you really want to, if you really want to try to make it, you're gonna have to start making sacrifices and taking risks, and that's what I've been doing. Um, don't really necessarily like taking the sacrifices, but it comes with building your business.
mm-hmm.
It comes with being an entrepreneur. So yeah, I wouldn't change. I wouldn't change my answer. I would say yeah, I would still take sacrifice. I would still make sacrifices and take risks if that means that I am going to get to where God wants me to be. Because I'm not. It looks like NXT, looks like TNA, but it's whatever happens, So.
Last question before we get out of here. So, let's just say, um, you're having a conversation with God, right? And you're
Mhm.
you're you're helping him along with the blueprint. He's like, just give me some. Where do you want to go? Who would you want to? Who are your like top 5 people, whether they're still wrestling or not? You would want to ring announce for.
Oh my gosh, I just saw them at TNA this past weekend. The Hardys.
Okay.
Um, the second person, he actually recently followed me on Twitter. Joe Hendry.
Okay.
Um, the third person, I would say, um, I'm kind of stuck between two people. Actually, no, I'm not stuck between two people. The fourth person I wanted to announce, she used to go by Maddie Rinkowski, but now
Oh
she's Ren
yeah.
Sinclair.
Mm-hmm.
So I was with her. She's number four. And then the fifth one, that was hard. Ooh, there's a lot of options actually. Oh man, that's gonna be a hard. I can't really choose between because I have a lot more people that I would like to,
Okay.
but those would be my top four. But if I have to choose five, um, dang, this one's a hard choice. Oh my gosh. Um, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say The Undertaker. The
Okay.
Undertaker. Even though he's not wrestling no more.
I
But
mean, it's wrestling. Everything is subject to change. There might be
yeah,
that one that one last time, the last of the last of the last time that he's being introduced to the ring, which I think there's probably 20 more of those. But no, that's a solid list and all very doable.
I I mean, I don't know. Like I don't know where life will lead me, but if I know for a fact when I saw the Hardy Boys, I'm like, I know I'm gonna announce you guys one day. I know I am, and I just keep that in my head because even when I started ring announcing, I was like, I know I'm gonna announce at least Jeff Hardy, and I was like, no, maybe it's Matt Hardy, but then I'm like, you guys are together again, and I'm like, yes, yes, I would like to announce both of you, and I hope that comes true.
There it is. With that being said, good luck on the rest of the career and all the past and all the places you're going to be going. But people are not following you. Where can everybody find you?
Um, Sorry. So on Facebook, you can follow me on there. It's Eliana ELI. There's going to be a space because you need a last name on Facebook. So it's ELI space ANNA. Instagram, it's Eliana underscore wrestling.
Mhm.
And on Twitter, it's X Eliana X.
Yeah. There,
And
there it is. Is there's something? Is there another account?
TikTok, Eliana Wrestling.
There it is. Well, I'm sure I'm going to see you in the Bahamas, so I look forward to seeing that. It's going to be a whole nother experience. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is TK Trinidad. You can follow me everywhere at TK Trinidad, and make sure you check out Women's Wrestling Talk on all social media platforms at WW Talk Pod. With that being said, thank you, Eliana. Thank you guys for joining Women's Wrestling Talk, the number one women's wrestling show on the planet. Ciao.
Bye.
Thanks for joining WWT. Don't forget to like us on all social media platforms at WW Talk Pod. Like and subscribe on all video and audio platforms, like yesterday, my G. And check out our website at www.talkpod.com. Thanks for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the number one women's wrestling network on the planet.